What's up, everyone? This is Commissioner. We have a problem, and we are back. Today, we are joined by Ryan, the chaos in human form itself, and we're just going to talk about this week, and I guess other stuff. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, let's get into it. We are in week 8 of the fantasy season.
Mm-hmm.
I guess NFL season 2 for that matter. But yeah, it's officially just past halfway. Well, no.
We're coming
halfway.
into week 9.
Yeah. I guess we go to week 17 these days, which is crazy.
We do.
But, yeah, things are taking shape, so excited to break it down. And then, yeah, thanks for Ryan to join us. And he's going to be, as promised, providing some looks into future fantasy matchups coming your way. So, yeah, thanks for joining, Ryan.
No problem. Looking forward to it. Have a handful of NFL games to go through, and we'll talk about some fantasy implications and stuff like that. So,
sweet. Well, I'll go ahead and share my screen here so we can take a look at the past week's matchups.
And then we should note that, like always, the Monday night game is going on, so we will be wrong about some people who are winning and losing in the standings per usual. So. Christian's definitely going to beat Zach, so...
We'll try not to project too much.
I already did. I did it. Christian's going to beat Zach.
Yep. Well, I'm excited to see some... This is like the witching hour, where wins become losses, and... What's he say?
I don't have red
losses
zone,
become
so...
wins. Yeah. The witching hour.
It's the fantasy podcast witching hour, where we make a lot of mistakes and have no accountability for them.
I don't think any of the games this week are up in the air.
I think one, though.
Like you said.
Christian and Zach.
Yeah, Christian and Zach.
Yeah, but what would have to happen? Neighbors, well, actually, yeah, that is close.
Neighbors outscoring Wandale by, 10 isn't crazy.
Yeah, currently they have the same amount of points. So, go Wandale, I guess.
No, I'm cheering for Neighbors.
I'm cheering for Zach. Yeah, I don't have Neighbors in another league. So.
I don't know if Zach can get to 5 wins if he loses this game, so he needs to win.
That's what I was thinking the other day. I was looking at his schedule.
But I don't know what he would prefer, to get 5 wins again or to get 4 and break the curse. I don't know.
That's a fair point.
The curse is broken to the downside, so he can break it to the upside.
I don't want him to get 4 wins, so...
It's a tough look, especially with the expectations he had. But anyway, We'll talk about all that and more. Just a quick run through the matchups here. Mine and Zach Miller's is complete, so we can safely say that I win. Thank goodness it came down really close. Ricky Pearsall almost did enough to get that victory. And then Christian and Zach still going. Riley blown out by Ryan. Logan blew out Levy. And Winnie the Bish, scary team still, taking out Blake
every week.
And then Wes, turd sandwich, still looking like a turd despite his recent upgrades. So, yeah, really just one matchup still in the works.
I guess, in theory, if the Steelers went off, Turd could make a run for it, but that'd have to be a big game all around from Najee and Pickens.
Seriously, that would have to be 25 points from each of them.
Yeah.
That's pretty big. It's not unheard of. Pickens has had some boom games. I'm curious, though, because as a former Pickens owner, we have 2 of those on the podcast, Pickens owners. So let's check out his best game.
I own him in another league. I've never owned him in Dynasty, though.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
So he beat me in the championship last year for a redraft league.
Oh, Pickens.
And so I was really happy to have him this year. Yeah.
I forgot. Wait, you had Pickens, Justin?
Yeah, I did. I traded him for CD.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so he has had a 33-point game last year, so definitely an explosive player. He did that on 4 catches, which is nuts.
Jalen Warren.
Anyway, enough about George Pickens, but we'll see what he does any matchup
No,
tonight.
I hope he turns out to be really good for Wes. I'm happy with Brian Thomas Jr., so...
I hope he turns out to be really good for Wes next year.
There you go.
Whatever year it is, if he's not on my team, I don't have much interest in him. So, yeah, let's go Tank Dell. Woo. All right. I want to talk about any league trades that happened this week, and I don't know if there was some.
There was 3, Riley went and had a fire sale.
Yeah,
That's right.
Well, kind of.
Let's go check that out. So I think it'd be best to check out Wes's team to see what trades happened, because some of those guys are in his starting lineup. Trade that I'm remembering
Trade for
is
defenses and Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason. Yeah, that's the one. So this
I'll
trade.
be honest, I didn't really follow any of the defense stuff. I was like,
Yeah, me neither.
I don't. There's two ways the defense trade with Wes. There's two ways I look at it. Like, one, it's like, okay, why is a tanking team trading away draft picks? Or I know he's not necessarily tanking himself, but a team who probably would still be tanking next year, why is he trading away draft picks for defenses? But on the other side, the defenses might have a lot of value the last year we used them, so maybe having those in stock could be really beneficial. So I don't know.
that's true. And he doesn't have his first rounder, so it doesn't matter if he tanks or not.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't really have motivation to tank. The only thing would be like if he wants to tank next year, but he's not giving any indication that he's going to try to tank next year. So
Yeah, he doesn't have his pick next year either.
No, he does, but I don't think he's going to try to tank with it.
I think if he hits on the draft, he could start to have a respectable team.
Possibly.
Are we talking about
We'll
Wes
see.
or Riley?
Wes.
I'm talking about Wes, but both of them, to be honest.
I mean, Riley already
Riley
has
doesn't have the
team.
picks that Wes has.
Riley just has injuries with like Rashee Rice. Olave's been kind of injured this year.
Yeah, the Saints have been weird. But anyway, here's the trade that we're referencing. It is Jordan Mason for Jalen Polk and Adonai Mitchell. So these guys were sitting on Wes's bench. Haven't really done much this year. Jalen Polk's had a lot of drop issues, and New England's not the best offense. Likewise for the Colts, they are led by the world's greatest athlete but world's worst passer in Anthony Richardson. As a frustrated owner, I digress. But they got Jordan Mason, and Jordan Mason looked spectacular to begin the year, and of course with CMC's injury, he's been valuable. But honestly, the past couple weeks, he's been getting injured, and that has led to some down performances fantasy-wise. I think he's got like under 10 points in the both past two matchups, and this week, surprisingly, only like 1.8 points because he went out pretty early. So that's a tough loss there.
I think this is a good. No, you got it right.
Say Isaac Garendo is the guy to have there.
Apparently, I do. I mean, I like this trade for Wes. I mean, I think Jordan Mason's a good player. We'll see what happens in the future. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's going to be immediate payoff now if CMC's coming back, which I still think San Francisco's full baloney in that he's not coming back after the bye. But Garendo's making a play, so maybe he won't be. But I mean, Wesley basically traded away trash. I think Riley was really just trying to boost Wes's points and trying to get some value out of him so that he could tank a little bit more, but might end up being net neutral if Jordan Mason's hurt, CMC comes back, or Garendo takes off.
Yeah, I wish I would have known Jordan Mason was on the block. I probably would have sent an offer.
So
I think you got a second.
I sent an offer the day before this trade happened, and I was told that he was not available to trade.
Oof.
Interesting. Well, that's
that Riley said he wanted to keep him.
That's fascinating.
And the next day, I see this trade happen.
He traded him away for nothing.
Come on, man, tell me.
Traded him away for scrap.
That's what I was thinking. I feel like I offered him more than that, although I was trying to get Darnell Mooney too.
I feel like Jordan Mason is worth a second. Maybe I'm overvaluing him, but I feel like he's worth a second.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. So think about this. At what point would the 49ers shut CMC down for the whole year if they get to where playoff contention looks iffy?
I think they're going to be in it. I think they're going to be in it till the end, but still, I don't know if it's worth forcing him.
They are in a bad division, so that helps.
Yeah, I mean they were like one game back, being 3-4 or whatever. Everyone's kind of beating each other up. Although the Rams are looking pretty good this last week.
I mean, the whole division, they have their benefits and then they have their serious issues.
Well, the Rams have been having injuries, and now they have their top two pass catchers back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I want to take a peek here at Riley's team here. So he sent away Jordan Mason, and so he started Dameon Pierce at running back, which is about 2 years too old to be starting Dameon Pierce, but here he is, getting 4 yards. And then, some issues with Chris Olave. Darnell Mooney's been a very great fantasy asset this year. So I think that's a good young player to have attached to a decent offense. But, tight end's always been a weak point for Riley since Gronk retired, honestly. And then he never should have traded away Hunter Henry. I think that was his best one by far, coming from a former Hunter Henry truther. And then he does have some good assets, though.
I was trying to figure out what he was doing this week because he dropped he had Johnson for the Saints. And I was like, but he was playing Barner, who was projected to get 0, basically. So I didn't know if he was trying to tank or if he was confident that Barner was going to get targets or what.
No, he's trying to get under Wesley for the 101. So he's trying to tank. He doesn't want to accidentally.
He's kept all of his players that would be expected to produce into the future.
Well, you can't. I mean, that's always the dilemma in my mind. Is like if you're going like crazy tank, do you really sell young assets who are still scoring points? For example, let's pretend he had Achane. He's 22 years old, obviously an explosive guy, can really rack up your max points for. Like, would you trade someone like that just for the sake of tanking? Like, to me, I wouldn't, because I think someone made a comment in the chat. It's like, how far do you strip it down before your team is so much worse to try to move ahead 2 draft spots, So I think he is at that dilemma. People like Tank Bigsby. He's got Ladd McConkey, who had a really great game. Xavier Worthy. Like, those are all players that can have really big boom weeks. But it's like, if you start trading 22, 23-year-old players just to move up in the standings 1 or 2 spots, it's like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, well, that's what I realized. Yeah.
And he's got the probably the very worst 102. And so it's like, okay, if you give away 2 solid players to move up 1 spot, are you really even gaining anything? Like, who knows? Maybe, I don't know.
Like,
you don't know.
Like you could give up Kyron Williams to move up 1 spot.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that. People would take that trade, I hear. Although, to be fair, you didn't know it was 1 spot at the time. It seemed like a few spots, but it didn't end up that way.
Still.
Yeah, I don't think I'd do that, but...
Yeah, Ryan, I hate to say it, but I think you've rised in my rankings of the league's worst traders. Not going to lie. But, hey, I think your team does have a lot of potential now.
You got to take the wins with the losses with the wins.
I mean, Ryan's made some pretty impressive trades this season.
I'd agree with that. If I had earlier draft capital, I for sure would have went after the assets that he got, like Joe Mixon. Like, I was knocking on Christian's doorstep with that one, but all my good assets in draft capital are in 2027, and everyone's like, yeah, I'm not waiting that long, which is understandable.
Ironically, Christian's aim is now towards 2027, so.
Oh.
Now
I could say 2028. I mean,
Cedric Tillman's going to be amazing now, and he's going to, he's going to try to win this year now.
Hey, he has plenty of first-round draft picks. He can start buying players.
I do want to pick at his team because what happened was pretty funny. So he was going against Zach, who we've been, tracking his wins. He's destined for 5. We're just figuring out how he's going to get there, and we thought this was one of his matchups to win. Christian sold out, sold all of his good assets. CMC, Joe Mixon, Travis Kelce.
And
Chuba Hubbard. We always forget about that one.
Christian's catchphrase is, my team is so bad, and they've been performing up to that catchphrase, but not this week.
Yeah, I mean, he started Bo Nix, and Bo Nix has his best performance in the NFL.
Went off. It was awesome.
Yep, he got 3 touchdown passes, a rushing touchdown, nearly 30 points. Running backs didn't do much to write home about, but the Browns offense, as we know, Deshaun Watson out for the season, and Jerry Jeudy got some action. Finally, made some catches. David Njoku at tight end scored a touchdown, got 15 points. Calvin Ridley peppered with targets. And then Cedric Tillman was big pickup last week. And with Jameis Winston slinging the ball, he's their wide receiver 1. Amari Cooper got traded, and he had 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. And currently, he's projected to beat Zach, 115 to 106, depending on how the Giants game goes. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's a tough beat for Zach. I don't think us saying he's cursed anymore, does anything for him. Maybe he's accepted it now, but it's somehow it's amazing. Like, I don't even know how to describe how all this happens to Zach every year.
It started, it's funny, Thursday Night Football was the Rams versus, who was it? The Vikings.
Yeah.
And he texted us. He was like, hey, should I start Puka? And, we all know he has Puka. And, of course, I'm like, nope, it's Cooper Kupp's night because I have Cooper Kupp. So, got in his head a little bit, maybe. Doubt it, but
everyone else has start Puka.
I
I
know.
wouldn't have started him.
I started him.
Started
I have him in another league and I started him. I'm not sitting Puka.
It was a little strange because you didn't hear about him all week practicing. I know he was on IR, so they don't have to report much, but you didn't hear much hype about him coming back. And then Thursday, it's like, oh, he's activated, he's playing tonight. And there was a little bit of news of not sure how much he'll play. So they did throw that caveat in there. And Puka did Puka things. He ended up getting 9 targets, 7 catches for 106 yards. So not a crazy performance, but 15 points that he desperately could have needed.
Yeah.
Well, what they ended up doing was they were going to have him play and just play until he started feeling uncomfortable. So it wasn't like a snap count or a pitch count necessarily. It was just until he started feeling it, and then he just never did.
But ask yourself this. Realistically, who would you have started Puka over? DJ Moore, Malik Neighbors, Khalil Shakir, or Nick Chubb?
I would over
Khalil Shakir with Amari Cooper there. But that was one of his better players.
Yeah, well, Khalil Shakir ended up having a similar game, didn't he?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't even have mattered.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's I probably would have done that. I was also thinking Nick Chubb just because Baltimore's a relatively decent defense and game script against them is generally not good.
That's a good call, too.
But, yeah, it's a toss-up. And so that's a tough look, tough beat, like you said, Logan. So we'll take it easy on Zach this week if we can.
No promises, though.
I think that's kind of it. Let's pop down to the standings. There was some trades we mentioned here. I think it was just a bunch of third-round picks for defenses, but essentially it's
there was a $1 fab trade for the Seahawks D, which I thought was sketchy. No one else did, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you see a $1 fab trade, everyone just has flashbacks to my amazing trade.
If it's a player, if it's someone that would reasonably be dropped at the end of a bench, then I can see that.
It's whatever. I am at 0 fab, so if anyone has some fab they're looking to trade, I can give you Jacoby Myers for 50 fab or a third-round pick. So just throwing that out there.
So can I give you 50 fab for a third-round pick?
If I had a third-round pick to give you, well,
Didn't you just offer a third-round pick?
No, or a third-round pick that he would take. And so I was saying he's equating 50 fab and a third-round pick.
I said Myers for 50 fab or a third.
Oh, I thought you were saying I was hearing 50 fab from Myers or a third-round pick.
I mean, I guess if you put them in a triangle, they're all equal. So. Anyway, I don't think I'd do that trade after hearing it out loud. But taking a peek at standings, we're going to project some conclusions at the end of Monday Night Football. All top 3 teams won. So the top 3 are going to remain unchanged. Yeah, because Corey's a little bit too far ahead of you in points.
Yeah, forward. I beat him. I'll probably beat him by 10 or 20, but not enough
not enough. So it's going to be
choose into his lead a little bit, but not enough. When I play Corey, he has the majority of his players on bye, so I'm hoping I can keep winning until then. Until I play him again.
And just for those listening, we do have top 2 seeds get a bye. So 6 teams make playoff, top 2 get a bye. So that is important in our league. Currently held by Josh Rich and Corey sitting at 1 and 2. And then Logan in a tight third place there coming up on Corey. But then 4th place, Zach Miller, he lost. So he's going to drop to 5 and 3. And then Josh Levinson also lost. So he's dropping to 4 and 4. But Ryan is going to win, and I'm going to win. So there's going to be now 3 teams at 4 and 4, but Ryan's going to take the cake with points 4, I believe, and so he's going to jump into 5th place. Josh is going to slide down to 6th, and I'm actually going to remain in 7th, unfortunately.
Oh wait, so you don't pass Josh on points 4?
No, he's 53 points ahead of me, so I didn't beat him by that much.
I didn't realize that. That's
but
big for
there's
him.
definitely a trend on his team. I mean, he had some injuries. But he is getting, Tua's coming back, so Tyreek Hill's on the up and up. Eagles
he just
are looking more
lost
functional.
Chris Godwin.
But he did lose Chris Godwin.
Yeah,
right.
all I know, I'm really excited for his 2026 first. I told him to let me know when he's ready to get it back.
Here's the thing, though. He's getting – so not only is Tua coming back for Tyreek's sake.
Tua's back this week.
Yeah. I mean, and Tyreek got 10 points, which is 10 times more than he has been getting. But he also is getting TJ Hawkinson back. So starting Jonnu Smith has not been a great look, but TJ Hawkinson is activated off IR and coming back soon. So yeah, it's a good thing for him.
I feel like at a running back too, James Conner is really good, but can he make it through the whole season? And then Tony Pollard, you'd expect some up weeks and down weeks.
Yeah,
he does have Ken Walker there in his flex, though. I missed that at first.
Although it kind of, I guess Tajay was hurt this week, but Tony Pollard's kind of been dominating the backfield, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he's
really
definitely
good.
been the guy. It's just the offense in general. Some weeks might not show up.
Yeah. So I think this is a good spot where we jump into rankings. So let's try to tag team it. So everyone we'll rotate. There's 3 of us. There's 12 teams. So we each get to pick 4. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Logan, you go first. Let's start off with tier 1. Give you a layup here.
I mean, I think tier 1's kind of clear now. I mean, I think
you
it's...
can only state one team. We're going to go one at a time.
Oh, okay. Josh.
Okay. So you get Josh. Ryan, you go next.
Tough pick. So in my power rankings this week, Logan actually moves up to 2nd place.
Okay. So Josh, Logan, and I'm going to go Corey at 3rd because he's getting Nico Collins back. But
I mean, and that's the thing. Corey was missing Nico, and he's missing Mike Evans, and still put up 129 this week. So still.
And he has CMC.
Yeah, and he has CMC. So
I know it's hard to not look into the future, but George Kittle has been amazing. Yeah. He's flexing Evan Ingram, who's still a touchdown machine, and Jalen Hurts had a crazy game, 3 rushing touchdowns, and then Derrick Henry, the king of running backs for sure.
He really is.
All right, Logan, we're still in tier 1 unless you want to do a tier break. Your call.
I think I'm going to do a tier break.
Okay. Well, let's start off tier 2 then.
Honestly,
come on, say my name.
Say my name,
baby.
Close. There's a few names.
I don't want this to be viewed as faltering belief because it's not. But I think I'm gonna put Ryan next.
Okay.
Sweet. I was gonna put me next after that if you didn't. So.
Yeah. All right, well, who's next, Ryan?
I would put Justin next then.
Okay, and then should we just
that you've got JT back, you're looking pretty healthy, and then eventually I'll switch you ahead of me once Jonathan Brooks is back, and Chuba Hubbard is not a thing.
I think he's my 2025 play. I don't think he's going to be starting worthy.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope Chuba sticks with it this year.
It's looking like that's going to be the case. Chuba's been good. I don't remember, what'd you pay for Chuba?
Not that much. Like maybe a second and a third, or maybe 2/3.
Okay. All right. That's looking like a good trade right now.
All right.
Definitely.
So, still in tier 2, we got Ryan and myself, and I'm checking out Zach Miller's team here. And the reason why I am is because I knew there was an injury. Stephon Diggs, I haven't heard anything conclusive unless you guys have. He had a non-contact injury. Ryan, what'd you hear?
That's what I was going to say, just a non-contact knee injury. Nothing else reported that I've seen.
So if he loses Stephon Diggs, he's starting JSN, who I have him in another league. He's been frustrating. Even with DK out, he's only getting 69 yards and a touchdown. Seahawks didn't look great, but I just don't think he's got that, wide receiver 1, set it and forget it status yet. Brock Bowers is nothing short of great, so he could be starting JSN and Jawan Jennings.
Oh, Jawan Jennings.
Ricky Pearsall, because Hollywood Brown probably not coming back in the fantasy season. Treylon Burks is a nobody, and so he could be flexing at best Ricky Pearsall. And so I'm just I look at some of the other teams' flexes, and I think they're better.
Well, and that doesn't account for more injuries that could happen.
Well, but also,
you could say that about anybody.
But Brandon Ayuk being out is going to help Jawan Jennings' case when he's healthy. So that's not someone to necessarily turn your nose up at.
Yeah, but I don't know, him or Cooper Kupp. Who would
Plus
you
Debo.
Cooper
What?
Kupp.
I'm just I'm trying to equate it to my team because I'm debating putting Zach right behind my team, and I would take Cooper Kupp over Jawan Jennings.
Right.
as
Well,
a
your
flex.
team would
Like who's in your flex? Justin, who's in your flex?
Yeah, I have Cooper Kupp and DeAndre Swift.
Right, and he's got running Ricky Pearsall and Javonte Williams, which I give.
Yeah.
Javonte
So
Williams has definitely come on lately, but definitely give the edge there to Justin.
Are you? Well, yeah, but I don't think the question is it Justin over Zach, right? I don't
Well,
actually know what you're debating.
We're in the same tier. Like, so I'm debating putting him next in that tier, and so I'm just like trying to compare apples to apples of like who are you starting in your flex versus who am I starting in my flex because we're that close. So
I
it's
have
my
him in the
choice
same
here.
tier, but it's your
I
choice.
am gonna go Levy in tier 2 as
Over
so-
Zach.
Now you can still put him in tier 2. Your call, Logan. Where you want him?
Yeah, I'm putting Zach in tier 2.
Mm-hmm. You're just trying to
I
save
do-
face.
No, his team has performed every week.
No, I
don't
agree.
know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, Levy's team has been boomed, and then like again, Tua is back. Great, he's got Tyreek. Sweet, he put up 89 points, and you're putting him over Zach. Zach has scored consistently high every week. So
Okay. So tier 2, we got Ryan, myself, Levy, and Zach Miller. Ryan, it's your pick. You can do a tier break or add someone else to tier 2.
Yeah. At this point, after recent events, I think I'm going to have to do a tier break and put Blake at the top of the next tier.
I guess before recent events, would you have added Blake to tier 2?
Yeah, so last week I had Blake actually ahead of Zach Miller at the bottom of tier 2.
The hate.
Just overall, the players that he has are not players
Okay.
that I'd want to be starting every week.
Let me guess. You're probably talking
but
about
he wins.
Devontae Adams, and Amari Cooper.
No, I'm talking about for Zach's team.
Sorry.
he's saying what we just debated. Zach has players that he wouldn't want to start.
Like Zach's
Gotcha.
whole team, I look at them, I'm just like, I wouldn't want to have these players that I'm starting in fantasy, except for Lamar Jackson.
Gotcha.
But he keeps winning, so you have to give
Well,
him
you
respect.
said recent events in relation to Blake's team.
Blake.
Yeah.
Oh,
what were you
yeah,
talking about there?
So just the fact that it really looks like Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to struggle to get it going consistently this year. And then also Jordan Love, I don't know how bad his injury was.
Yeah.
So he'll probably miss a couple more weeks, and Blake doesn't really have any more losses to take. And he also does not have another quarterback, I believe.
Shoot. Yeah, he's got Justin Fields, who's losing his job. How's Russell Wilson looking, Logan?
He's not been great today.
Nah,
But-
he should be doing better against the Giants defense. But
Yeah, the Giants. Well, at least fantasy wise, the Giants defense is a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they've been pretty decent.
But yeah,
And yeah,
I mean,
oof.
they're tied. So
Yep. And then he has to play that game of Russian roulette with tight ends. Kincaid or Kmet is usually his back and forth, and looks like he started Kmet, so naturally Kincaid did much better. So tough loss for Blake there. But yeah, Amari Cooper put up a stinker, man. 1 catch for 3 yards. Not what you expect out of him, especially being tied to Josh Allen.
And he had such a splash last week for his first game. You thought, okay, yeah, now he knows the offense, so he'll get into it, and apparently not.
yeah,
Yeah, so tough.
they just wanted him to unlock Keon Coleman.
Yeah, dude, Keon Coleman has been going off. Yeah, seriously, Ryan's got Keon Coleman going off too, and whatever,
I'm not worried about Keon Coleman.
Okay,
You say that now.
I'm not worried about Keon Coleman.
I'm a little worried. I kind of wanted. He was one of my draft targets if I decided to trade into the draft.
Yeah, so I'm taking a peek at the next pick here in our tiers. I believe it's my turn, and I'm debating between a turd sandwich and gimme sugar.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
that's tough. I'm
That
gonna
doesn't
go
seem
with.
that- doesn't
Logan's
seem
taking
that tough.
offense to that.
For Zach.
Well, when you got 2 wins, but I do like the core here. I think Caleb Williams had a down week. Mostert's finally healthy. Stevenson looking good. Tough week for the Bears, so that explains DJ Moore. But I don't know. I'll go Zach. He's had some
I'd say
tough breaks.
I look at Zach's team, and it's like the opposite of Zach's team. So Zach Garcia's team is the opposite of Zach Miller's team, where Zach Garcia's team is a bunch of players that I would want to have on my fantasy team, but he's not winning. Whereas Zach Miller's team is a bunch of players that I really wouldn't want to have and start, but yet he keeps winning. So,
are you talking like asset wise or like startability wise?
Just like, do I feel good having this guy as like one of my weekly starters?
Yeah, like, oh, that's a name I'd want to have on my team.
Do I want to depend on this guy every week, and regardless of matchup, regardless of what else, do I feel
like
good
Puka
depending on him? No, not like Puka. Like when he's healthy, sure, but he's not dependably healthy.
All right, so tier 3 shaping up. Blake, Zach. So Logan, back to you.
Or
tier break. Your call.
I need to look at Christian's team. Okay, yeah, he shouldn't be putting up this many points. Is that Christian's week is all on Zach. Okay, so then let me assess. I gotta assess West versus Riley. Kyler Murray, Najee Harris, Kareem Hunt. Oof, rough yards per carry for Kareem Hunt this week. Hunter Henry, Drake May. Drake May's looked pretty good. This is tough. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and just put Riley there. So,
Riley.
Right, but I think I'm gonna tier break. I'm gonna have a tier 4, and
okay,
Riley's at the top of tier 4 for me.
So Blake and
Ryan.
Zach Garcia are alone in tier 3.
Yeah. They're these like middle teams that you think they should be able to compete. Kind of like the void that Levy described. They're like, it feels like they're competing, like they should be able to compete, but they're not. Blake is obviously competing better than Zach. So they're not necessarily on the same level, but right now they're in the same tier.
I really liked Josh's description of Zach's team where he called him like a boss that you have to beat. Where any week his team could just completely go off against you, but it's going to happen only a maximum of 5 times per year.
It's true.
I mean, Zach still got his 180 game at some point in the next 5 weeks or so. So
it'll probably be against me, I bet.
I hope so.
Or me. I'm coming up there. It's one of my games that I must win.
All right, Ryan. Who is the least worst of the worst? Turd Sandwich or Christian's team?
I probably would have to give the edge to Turd Sandwich at this point. I think that his team's going to consistently put up more points week in and week out than Christian's team will through the rest of this year. And then also his draft picks are more heavily skewed towards the near future. And so he'll be able to recover faster.
If we're talking draft picks, I got Wes's team higher than tier 4, but
well, yeah, I'm just trying to give an edge between the bottom 2. We're not trying to project out like, oh, well, you've got the 2026 first 1.5.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is this week's tiers rankings for the week. So reminder, check out the Outmanage app here. Each week you can do power rankings for your league. So get that in there.
When do those open for the week, Logan?
I'll open them tomorrow. I didn't really. I wanted everyone, like when people in their leagues have power rankings, they can control when it opens and closes. So it's manually controlled by the commissioner. But I'll open it in the morning, and I'll let y'all know.
Cool.
Sweet.
So if you're listening to this, assuming Justin's released it before actually I'll close it Thursday morning. So if it's Thursday and you're listening to this, sorry, it's already closed. But if it's Wednesday, power rankings are open.
I'll do what I can.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna send it overseas for editing, so they'll have it back to me by morning probably.
Perfect. Great.
Old Fiverr.
Yeah. I think this is a good stopping point to take a peek ahead, and this is why we brought on our specialist, Ryan. So he's going to preview some NFL matchups, some juicy fantasy matchups, and take a look into next week, Week 9.
Just let me know when you're done. I'm going to watch the Giants and Steelers.
Hey, you don't want to give any input, Logan?
Oh, I'll give it.
I didn't say something ridiculous.
I didn't know if you wanted input. I love talking, so.
No, if you have input, definitely give it.
Okay, sounds
but
good.
this
Sounds
week,
good.
like I said, I am looking at the slate. It looks like we could have a lot more high scores this week, which would be a lot of fun. But a couple of the games that actually, so one potential big fantasy dud game could be the Pats and the Titans. So we've got Patriots and the Titans playing. It's probably going to be two backup quarterbacks running not very deep offenses against okay defenses. So not really excited about playing any players in that game. Probably have to play Ramondre and Calvin Ridley still. So yeah, that won't spend too much time on that game because not a lot of impact. But then the Broncos and Ravens. This is where Zay Flowers comes in. Not really expecting much from him because two things that have been money in the bank this season is Kyron Williams anytime touchdown and Pat Surtain shutting down the opposing number one wide receiver. Both have happened every single week basically, and both are likely to continue this week since the Ravens have the run game that they can lean on. So I'm expecting there to be not very much from Zay, but then a lot of production from the run game and the tight ends for the Ravens. Then the Broncos, don't expect them to be able to do the same thing that the Browns did last week because Jameis is a little bit better at throwing the football than Bo Nix at this point, I think. So not really expecting them to get it going through the air against the Ravens, and probably not really excited about starting the Broncos this week.
Question on Zay, for no particular reason. Pat Surtain, he is a shutdown corner for sure, but like the wide receivers that he's been going against, are they more like, outside receivers, or are they catching passes behind the line of scrimmage? Because I see Zay being used pretty creatively, but he's often like thrown to at line of scrimmage and just yards after catch. So I'm curious.
Yeah, let me find I'm trying to find a Broncos player here.
I would like Zay not to get shut down, so can I put that request in?
Yeah, okay, so the Broncos played the Seahawks, so he shut down DK Metcalf. They played the Steelers, he shut down George Pickens. Played the Buccaneers, he shut down Mike Evans. Played the Jets, he shut down Garrett Wilson. Then he played a bunch of Raiders, Chargers, Saints, Carolina. He was out for a couple of those games as well. But yeah, those first four weeks, he shut down all those guys in those games.
Is that
so? It's not a guarantee, but it's just you're betting the under on Zay if you are betting and not really hoping too much on the over.
I hit my parlay last week with the Kyron Williams anytime touchdown. So
I had that one too. I missed J.K.
Nice.
Dobbins though over on 70 yards.
That's tough.
I needed that to beat you, but
thanks. So double whammy.
I know. Yeah, usually I should use that as hedging, right?
Yeah.
But no. But then, anyways, the next game, look at the Bucks and the Chiefs. This one is going to be interesting because obviously the Bucks lost both of their wide receivers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So it'll be interesting to see if they make a move. I've heard that they're in trade talks possibly for a wide receiver before the trade deadline, but we'll see if they decide to make a move there. Jalen McMillan has looked pretty good along with Cade Otton. But the Chiefs are one of the two best defenses that you don't want to go up against in a given fantasy week. So not really excited about like Baker Mayfield or any of the Bucks pass catchers or running backs in that game. We'll see if they can generate offense, but would expect the Chiefs possibly to get ahead early and be able to run the clock on this one.
The Chiefs have a really favorable schedule to end the year. I was looking at it.
Do.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's not fair. And they could end up going undefeated this year. Like I don't know.
Yeah, and that not be like with the second half of their schedule, like that wouldn't be crazy.
And Mahomes could be like quarterback, 18 to 24 on the year or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
But then go into the Vikings and Colts here. Talk about Jonathan Taylor here for a minute. Do we know if Anthony Richardson's playing? I guess there's nothing.
They said they're going to be evaluating. Well, I think he's just bad at football. I think that's the main issue with him.
All right. He had to
But-
come out because he was tired in the middle of a
Yeah.
drive.
Their coach said today that they're going to be evaluating, like, I guess on a week-to-week basis, or they're going to be evaluating things. So my guess is he gets a couple more starts and then they bench him, but who knows?
Well, that's because this week they're going up against the Vikings. So if they're going to be judging him at all and putting him out there this week, it's not a great outlook for him. If Anthony Richardson does play, then would expect the Colts offense to just do nothing. Jonathan Taylor probably would play closer to his floor of 10 to 10, 12, 15 points rather than have a potential to boom for 20 plus points. And then talking about booming players, I have my player who I believe is the absolute most likely to go and boom for over 20 points this week. And would you like to try to guess who it is?
Is it in this matchup?
It is not in this matchup.
Oh, okay.
Wait, in all of the NFL, who's
In
most
all of the
likely to
NFL.
go? Most
I
likely
feel
to
like
go over
there's
20
I feel like
points?
there's one player who it's like super, super obvious that they should just boom and dominate.
Give us a position.
Running back.
Running back.
Who are the Ravens playing?
Denver.
The Ravens are playing Denver.
Who are the Texans playing?
The Jets.
Jets. I'm going to go with Devon Achane.
I'm going to go with Joe Mixon.
Those are pretty good guesses. I know you didn't want to take too long and think through every single game and on the podcast, but it's going to be Alvin Kamara against the Panthers. So I don't know if the Saints offense is going to get the passing game going against the Panthers, but I definitely know that everybody can get the run game going against the Panthers. So I'm betting the overs on Alvin Kamara, and I also would be scared to be playing against him this week. Yeah.
Although,
give me Alvin Kamara against the worst defense in football.
You run the risk with Alvin Kamara of the game being over before he gets to that 20.
Hey, I'm playing Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry.
Here's the thing. It's not going to happen through the air probably. And yet the Panthers are a bad defense, so they're just going to run. They're just going to give it to him every play.
Is Derek Carr back? Because that changes things for the Saints.
It could change things. I think he's going to practice Wednesday. They said they announced that he's going to start practicing Wednesday.
Okay.
And that could change things. It could reduce, obviously spread out the points more. But yeah, I mean, just either way, Bo Nix put up points like he did when Javonte against the Panthers. Actually, Javonte didn't do that great, but running backs have been doing really well against them, and Kamara is their whole offense, or most of their offense of late. But then beyond that, the rest of the slate of games, I actually would be willing to say that every other player and all the key players in all of the games that I didn't talk about there, I would expect them to have a potential to overshoot their projections. Because it seems like a trend in the NFL this year has been that there haven't been as many defenses that you're really scared of on a week-to-week basis. And then a lot of the offenses have been able to, start executing and finding some midseason form here. So I do think, we've seen some higher scoring, and I think that is likely to continue this week. Let's see any of the other games. Yeah, and then the last thing I wanted to touch on was playoff implications that could affect fantasy. So the Jets and the Dolphins both could be, practically speaking, eliminated from playoff contention this week. And so I feel like
like not numerically, practically.
Right, not mathematically.
Okay.
I think mathematically they cannot both make the playoffs after this week if they both lose. The Jets are playing the Texans, and the Dolphins are playing the Bills. So both lose very losable games. But yeah, so it's interesting to think about, what do the Jets do if they have a 40-year-old quarterback, they just traded for a 32-year-old receiver. If they lose to the Texans on Thursday, do we see Devontae Adams traded before the weekend?
No.
They're not trading Devontae Adams.
I don't know. What do you do as the management of that team?
You fire everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not going anywhere with Rodgers next year.
Yeah, well, you'll draft a QB.
Yeah. Tank.
I think you got to tear down and rebuild.
Devontae's not a bad guy to have throwing and have on your team with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, but does he want to stay there? That's what I'm.
In my personal opinion, he knew the risk of going there.
That's true.
But also,
he probably wouldn't want to move so fast anyway.
Isn't is his contract up, or is there still more left on his contract? He's not a free agent after the season, is he?
I thought he was already on a 1-year deal, but maybe not.
No.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if like he's on a 1-year deal, or I thought he was in the last year of his deal with the Raiders, and so they just would get him unless they sign him to a further deal. I don't know. I don't know his contract status. I'll look it up. I'll fact check.
Yeah, I do want to, Ryan. Let's save time for looking at Week 9 fantasy matchups. I know you're talking about the Jets and the Bills. You know, I think where you're going with that is like if they go out of playoff contention, like do we see the Aaron Rodgers, the Devonta Adams be less valuable because they turn to the next guy, see what they got?
Well, does Braylon Allen start splitting more carries with Breece Hall to help?
That's a great point.
Protect him.
Yeah.
What about Dolphins though? Like, I mean, Tua obviously had a health scare with his concussions. So he came back, and
right.
Hopefully,
that's the tough
healthy.
thing is because they barely have seen their offense altogether, and for the short time they did have them, they were clicking really well. So you'd like to be positive for the outlook, but at the same time, being so far out of contention already, and then you start going into the winter where they're going to have to travel and play in the cold wind, and all these things that we know don't typically go well for them. And so it's at what point would they start to be like, if we're down 2 scores in the second half, we're going to pull Tua or something like that, or we're going to start running Jalen Wright split time with Devon Achane. I don't see them trading anybody. Obviously, I think that if they could start playing and not hurt their draft position, but still give their players playing time, it could turn out well for them. I just don't know if they'll do that.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
I did hear that Mike McDaniel has a fairly new contract. I think he's got like 3 years left. So the likelihood is not that they'd get rid of him, but get rid of their GM is what I was reading.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
I don't
that's
know.
tough.
Maybe they could trade Mike McDaniel. You never know. You could see a trade for a coach.
No,
it's happened.
They love him.
That sounds like the kind of trade you would make, Ryan.
I have more faith.
Trade a coach?
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. Okay,
The Saints traded Sean Payton.
I know it happens.
Yeah, but he was retired. So, Logan, here's a hypothetical as commissioner. What if 2 teams in our league wanted to swap teams? They still pay dues. All that's fair. They just straight up, like Zach Garcia's, like, I want Zach Miller's team, and vice versa. Let's say they both finished terribly.
I mean, in theory, that's a trade, and it would be put to vote by the league, and if it passed, it passed. If it vetoed, it vetoed.
So you're saying you just trade the whole team for the whole team?
Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah, I mean that's a trade. So if you wanted to swap teams,
yeah, I guess I guess it literally you could select every asset your team has and trade them. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean that's a trade. So it would come down to if the league vetoes it or not.
That's wild.
Interesting.
I don't think that's going to happen because everyone obviously tailors their strategy to what they want, and whether or not it's good, time will tell.
There's also something to be said about like what you build and like doing that and just like switching to what someone else built. I don't know. Maybe I think into it too much, but that's how I feel.
If I build a turd sandwich, I'll be the first one to tell you it stinks. Like.
But then you got to eat it.
No, if someone wants to eat it for me, I'll let them.
Oh, you build it and someone else eats it. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't clean up my own mess. I make someone else do it. But
wow.
Speaking of Week 9, I do want to speak of Week 9 is what I'm trying to say. Is we got some pretty good matchups. You mentioned the one with going against Alvin Kamara. That is me, Lucky Duck. So 2 teams in the hunt here. But then you got Zach Garcia, Riley, bottom of the barrel there. So it seems
your matchup is going to be interesting to watch because, like I said, I don't know if you're going to be starting Zay Flowers, but I know you'll be starting Jonathan Taylor, who's going to be playing a hard matchup against the Vikings, while he's got a plus matchup for Kamara. So you are, it looks like you're going to be projected ahead of him, but we'll
Should
see
I
how
sit
that
Jonathan
turns out.
Taylor? Is that what you're telling me?
No, definitely not.
Logan's got a tough one too. Battle of tier 1 teams up there.
I got some nice matchups that I'm hoping work out well for me. But yeah, it'll be
Let's see. Who are you going to play at QB?
who am I gonna the wrong one?
Here's where I would play Logan. I would play the one that scores the most points.
No, you got to play Kirk Cousins. He's playing Dallas.
Bro, when I play Kirk Cousins, he puts up a stinker. Oh, you're right. I should play Kirk Cousins. You're right. Then if he's bad, you know what? If he's bad, it's good for the Cowboys. He's going to end up putting up like 7. He's going to put up 7, and the Cowboys are still going to lose somehow.
Why'd you pick up Russell Wilson, Logan?
Because he was a top 10 QB when I should have switched my fab. I should have put the fab on Cedric Tillman that I put on Russ, and I should have put the fab I put on Russ on Cedric Tillman I put on Russ, and I would have got Tillman.
Well, what's so funny is that Russell Wilson was my top waiver claim. Now, when I say top, it's because all of mine are $0. I have 0 fab left. And so I just ordered them in priority like redraft or non-fab waivers. And he was my number 1. My number 2 is Jameis Winston. I think it's a pretty good consolation prize for the sake of fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, again,
I would rather have Jameis.
Well,
for this year.
We'll
I hadn't seen Jameis play a full game, so.
True.
Russell Wilson was a top 10 QB when he played, like, at the end of the season last year. I think he was hurt to start, and when he was healthy, he was a top 10 QB from then on. So it seemed worth putting in a good amount of fab. If he's going to be someone that puts up 20 every week, like, I would start him.
He's just right now 5.56. You're right.
I said if. I'm not saying he's going to. I said if.
What was he last year? QB 14.
And I think he missed. I think he missed a part of the year. So
anyway,
either way,
what were you stat checking.
He'll be good in 2027 as your super flex.
I was checking Devontae. He's in a 5-year contract, so his contract is not up.
Logan, he missed 1 game.
Okay, well, I guess the second half of the season he was a top 10 QB.
Oh, well, that means a lot.
It does.
Anyway, any other matchups? We got turd sandwich against Zach Miller, so that should be smeared all over the floor.
No, I mean, it'll be interesting to see
looks like.
It'll be interesting to see if Josh Levinson can beat Blake, or if his team's going to continue to slide.
That's a pivotal matchup right there for potential. Like, in my mind, I feel like the playoffs are set. Justin's a lock for the playoffs for me. 1, his team's good. 2, his schedule is pretty easy to end the season. So it comes down to, like, for me, the last playoff spot's between Ryan, Levy, and Blake. So anytime those teams match up, it's vital.
Well, I still I still play Christian, Wes, and Zach Garcia, which are 3 of the 4 bottom teams.
That's
a
good start for you.
It is a good start, except I play Josh Levinson the same week that Jaden Daniels, Joe Mixon, and Terry McLaurin are on bye. And that's why I really needed to beat you, Logan.
Yeah.
Man, that was so big. And Justin, that basically means I need to beat you now in our
Logan,
matchup.
So what's your magic number, Logan? You think it's 7 or 8?
7. So 8. No one with 8 wins has ever missed the playoffs in our league. 7 comes down to tiebreakers usually. So if you have high points 7 is the magic number. If you don't, then it's hit or miss. We've had years where everyone with 7 wins up made playoffs, and we've had years where some 7 missed.
Because looking ahead at my schedule, I play Riley and Christian. So those teams are flat out tanking. Like, now, of course, Christian's going to win this week, so it seems. But, like, so if I counting those as 2 wins, I also play Zach Garcia, who he's caught on the fence right now. His team could go off. So, like, let's say you give me those 3 wins. I still have to get to 8 wins and be a lock in your mind. I have Corey. I have Ryan. I have someone else. I got turd sandwich, Christian. Oh, wait. Oh, so I got turd sandwich in there, who is not tanking because he does not have his own pick. So he did trade for some assets. Are they enough to boost him? We'll see. But
wait, so you still play all 4 bottom bottom four teams.
Yeah.
Right, but like only 2 of them are tanking is what I'm saying. Like
Okay,
they're not
but
like for sure wins.
Wes is going to get outscored by Riley this week. So, I mean, if Jordan Mason's hurt, or if CMC comes back, Jordan Mason doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, it's not going to do
That's
anything.
True. Anyway. So, yeah, I'm hoping to get at least 7 wins. But if I can beat Ryan or Corey or Zach, that should get me to 8 wins, hopefully. So
yeah, my game against you, Justin, will probably determine which of us gets to 8 wins. And then the other one still could beat Josh Levinson.
I do want to get to the 5th seed because I don't want to match up against Josh Rich's team in the playoffs. That would be scary. Like, is Corey's team just as scary if they're healthy? Sure, but like, I don't know. Just something about going up against people who can score 40 at the drop of a hat, like people like Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, Breece Hall. Like, those guys can just go off, whereas Corey's team is more like steady. Like,
CMC doesn't usually have big games.
We haven't seen him this year, but like people like Derrick Henry, I can't remember the last time he's gotten over 30. You know, he's getting 20 to 30 regularly, but he's not getting 40.
Nico Collins, I guess so. 40 is a different category than even 30.
Yeah, like 40 breaks your back. I think 20-point scores are just like body blows.
But
you know,
Corey's got like multiple guys who can put up 30 points a week.
I agree, but I don't think he has anyone who can put up 40. And
so you don't get your head
he
chopped
also
off
has some weak spots. Corey's going to be losing Christian Kirk there for the season, and he already lost Mike Evans for the season. So he is going to get Nico Collins back, but
Mike Evans will be back.
Maybe late. Okay, I guess he'll be back, but he's definitely going to miss some time.
And Christian Kirk again. Ideally, Christian Kirk, he loses him enough to drop down a spot, and I pass him in the standings so that I can get the bye week. But Christian Kirk's not any. Like, he'll have his players back, who for a solid starting lineup for playoffs.
I'm not worried about the 505th ranked running back. Like,
overpaid.
But yeah, I think you're right, Ryan. There is a couple matchups like you and I's where we're both fighting for that last playoff spot or 5th or 6th seed. Should be interesting. So in your mind, Logan, it's Josh Rich, yourself, Corey, me. So that leaves
Zach Miller's in.
Zach Miller. So who do you think is going to get left out, Ryan or Levy?
Levy.
Whew.
Ryan's team is looking good, and like especially how Keon Coleman's playing. Joe Mixon has been
Levy's
doing
schedule?
Levy's schedule. Let's go.
Because if I'm tied with him going into the last week of the season, I probably will not edge him out.
He's got Blake. He's got Zach Miller. He's got Corey. Oof, this is tough. Winnie the Bish.
That looks good. Looking good.
Zach Garcia, and final week of the season, you, Ryan. So, yeah, that's a tough schedule for Josh. Woof. Man, oh man.
That's just we could definitely.
I think you're right, Logan. Though.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man, Levy.
You know what my season's set up to do? I'm set to be rising and rising and rising until I play Justin. My first chance to get to 8 wins and fail at him, and then I'm gonna come up against Josh Levinson, who I'll be tied with then. Second chance to get 8 wins and fail there. They both beat me to get in.
That'd be tough.
That would be tough.
To hedge my season, I'm gonna predict that.
We'll see. Well, is there anything else we need to talk about here before we wrap this up?
I don't think so. We're gonna be able to kind of. There's gonna be a lot more exciting matches to like analyze and see. Okay, how's this gonna affect the end of the season and these last I think there's 6 weeks left after this week or 5. I don't remember. I think it's 6.
6 at least.
6 after the current week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the pivotal matches will start coming up every week now.
Man, I just have heartburn from years past. Dallas Goedert catching it, winning me the game, and then fumbling it on the same play, losing it, and then I'm out of playoffs. That's if I have something like that again, I'll probably quit.
Those can be scarring.
Man. Well, yeah, we got to talk more about what's going on in the league and hearing from Ryan's analysis here of upcoming matchups, which is great. We'll try to make that a pretty regular thing here. And then next week, we'll bring on another guest and keep it exciting, keep it rolling.
Yes, thank you all for
good.
joining. And don't forget to do Outmanage and submit your power rankings. Other than that, subscribe everywhere, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your local grocer will be there.
Yeah. Comment too. What do you think of our tiers? Is Zach Miller underrated, overrated, doomed for destiny? And
Can
other Zach
anybody
too.
beat Winnie the Bish?
Is he going to get to 5 wins? Is Zach going to get to 5?
Someone's already beat Winnie the Bish.
Yeah, but I
Levy.
mean,
Guess.
who beat him?
Oh,
Who
Levy.
beat him?
Levy.
That's
He
crazy.
just like put up like 150.
nuts.
Well,
Riley-
see if he
and
can get
Riley-
back there.
And Riley almost did. But we jinxed him.
Maybe I'll beat him second to last week. There we go.
Yeah, good luck.
Whatever.
All
All right. Well, yeah, guys.
We'll
Thanks for listening.
see y'all next time.